Hey you guys, it's your girl Tanetta Lachey and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special guest, my boyfriend, Darren.
Hi guys, I'm Darren.
And today we want to talk to you guys about how this combination happened. Because I think a lot of people wonder.
Questions.
Yeah, they've had questions. They kind of raise the eyebrow a little bit, just trying to figure out, how did those two end up with each other? So today we just wanted to come and share our background story, share how our relationship was in the beginning, share how it is now, and our future plans. But right now we're going to talk about how we met. So I want to let Darren, give some background on himself, just so you guys can get familiar with him, because you know a little bit about me. But go ahead, Darren. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
All right, well, I'm Darren. I grew up in Virginia, moved to North Carolina to come to college, and just stayed. I didn't have any plans to stay or what was going to be my future after college, but ended up staying in North Carolina. Was in a long relationship, marriage, that I have 2 grown children, and I guess that's probably that's who I am. I work a lot.
Yeah.
For those of you who have seen me, I do work a lot of hours. It seems like I've always worked a lot. And
Probably the hardest.
That's
not even probably is the hardest working man, hardest working person I've ever came in contact with.
well, I think that may be one of my strengths and one of my
weaknesses.
But I do put a lot into my work and take it very seriously and try to perform the way that my bosses or employers expect me to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much who I am and, where I came from. And I'm 54 years old.
And I am 28, about to be 29. So, Mr. Math Man, because I said it wrong last time.
We are 25 years and a couple months apart.
Yes, we are.
And we met almost 2 years ago.
Yes. A day after my birthday.
Yes, day after your
Yeah,
birthday.
day after my birthday.
We met at work, and from the moment that I walked in there, I felt welcomed because other than the people that were putting me through orientation and processing and everything, she was the first person that I saw.
Yeah.
I forget even who they told me to ask for when I got there, but
I think I seen you wondering. I was like, "Are you new?" And you were like, "Yeah, today's my first day." Yeah.
So I asked her for whoever it was I was supposed to be looking for at the time.
Yeah.
And she pointed me in that direction. She said, "By the way, my name's Tanetta."
Yeah.
And of course, I told her my name was Darren, but
yeah. And I said I was gonna remember his name because he is the first, probably the only white Darren that I have ever met, and that I'll ever meet. And then you told me.
I told her that she was the first black Tanetta that I ever met.
First and only
Tanetta that I've ever met.
Yeah.
But so it was. She told me I could call her T, but her name was unique enough to where I felt like I'd be able to.
Yeah, because a lot of people butcher my name, so I was like, just call me T if you can't remember. So yeah.
So that was how we met. Was at work. That first day, it was just a welcoming. It seemed like it was part of the program. It was. I walk in and Tanetta's standing there, and she welcomed me and told me if there was anything that she could do because she'd been there for a few years, I think.
No, I came back.
She was there before.
Yeah, and
she
I came back.
But she knew the ropes at work. So if there was anything that I needed help with, time clock, figuring out bills, anything that needed to be done, that she could help me.
Yeah, and if I couldn't, I'd point them in the right direction. Yeah.
So. And it was pleasant because most places that I've been at before, it was awkward being the new person there because you didn't know anyone and hadn't met anyone yet.
Yeah.
So
and in trucking, I don't know if a lot of people are familiar. I mean to cut you off with trucking, but everybody's not so nice.
And it's very busy and
It's
very
a different
hectic
world.
at times.
It's a different world, man.
It is.
Yeah, you gotta have some tough skin to.
And we choose that. So
yeah, I like it.
It's a good field to be in because it brings out, the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
It allows you to do the work that you want to do.
Yeah, and I like the people I get to meet because, people come from all over and they come to your terminal and then they leave for the day and it's like, I got friends in Florida, I got friends in Tennessee. But anyway, I'm getting off subject, reel it back in, reel it on back in.
All right, so that was our initial meeting of how we met.
Yeah.
From there, it was just I saw her and just every day came in and spoke to her. Hey, Tanette, how you doing? She said, I'm fine. How are you? And it was it was kind of just for a couple days, couple weeks maybe. It was just that.
Yeah.
And then it became more like I saw her football team.
Yeah. Go Steelers. Roll Tide.
And it was, I saw that. So that was something else to question or to, talk to her about.
Yeah.
It was...
Because I was a big football... Well, I ain't going to say was. I still am. But I really like football, and I think that kind of caught you off guard when I was talking about football.
She was talking about football, and, it was...
And it wasn't like I was talking about, oh, he's cute, even though that's one reason why I did watch football. I ain't going to lie to you. But I do like the game of football, too.
So it was something for me to give her a hard time about, whether her team was going to win or lose. And, it was all in fun. And, it was just a way for me to, now I know a little bit more about her. I know her football teams. And it wasn't that I was trying to find information out about her. It was just, it was that friendly voice, that friendly conversation that we had, every day. It was... it wasn't, what are we going to talk about today? It was just, I'd come in and, hey, we're busy today. Yeah. We're busy today. And it was, we'd start talking about, things, I don't know necessarily that we talked about things outside of work. It was just,
no, not really.
It was just every day we just talked. We spoke to each other.
Yeah.
The conversation then went, I think, one day when I was getting something out of the vending machine.
Yeah.
And she
Excuse me.
yelled through the window.
Yeah, because the way my office was, because I don't work there anymore, but I could see straight into the break room. And so he was in the break room getting something out that vending machine, the cold. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the vending machines that have like the cold sandwiches and just gross stuff. I wouldn't feed that to my dog. I really wouldn't. I don't trust it. I don't trust it at all. So anyway, I seen him at the vending machine, and I took to my head, and I was yelling like, "Don't do it! Don't get nothing out of there. Either it's gonna kill you. It's gonna kill you." And he was like, "You talking to me?"
Yeah, because I was just hungry, and I was working 2 jobs at the time, and still am working 2 jobs, but I didn't have time to fix anything or to stop by McDonald's or somewhere to eat on the way in. But that happened for a couple of days that she kept saying that. And I think one day I don't know if she told me she was going to bring something or she just did.
Yeah, no, I told you. Well, I don't know. I don't remember. Because I don't feel like I asked you.
She just brought something to work.
Yeah, I noticed for a few days or even maybe a week that he kept on going to that vending machine. I'm like, does nobody not cook for him?
But at that point, I didn't had any thoughts that, hey, she's interested in me, because it was more that at that point I learned a little bit more about her and what her thoughts and beliefs and care and just consideration for other people.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for me, but just for people. And that was something that caught me. It raised my eye a little bit.
And I came from a family where they always would give. I mean, I don't care if it's our last, we will give to people who we feel like are in need. And just like I said, seeing him every day go to that vending machine, I was like, something just, I don't know, something just compelled me to cook something for him. 'Cause I was like, I know for a fact he ain't had no home cooked meal in a whole week, and I didn't know what his situation was, but I was just like, I just wanted to be nice and cook something and bring it in, because it wasn't like I was going out the west, so I had to cook for my family, so it wasn't like I was inconveniencing myself, you know.
You just brought an extra plate.
Yeah, I just brought an extra plate, and if he didn't want it, I was going to take it back. And if he did, then that was good, but I don't believe I asked you.
But I think you didn't, and
no.
you brought it, and I cleaned the bowl out or washed it, rinsed it out or something, and gave it back to her.
And I think you told me that was your first home cooked meal
that I'd had in a while.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was me finding out that part of her, that who she was at that point. Our then conversations got to be, what are we having for dinner tonight?
Yeah, he was my lunch.
So we would order a pizza, or we'd get Chinese, or we'd get something, so that, you know, I think it was her way of saying that I'm going to keep you out of that vending machine.
Yeah.
And it was my way of sharing that meal with someone, the expenses of the meal with someone.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, we split the meals.
You know, we split them, and I'd buy one night, she'd buy the next, or we'd split whatever the meal was.
Yeah.
So it was that part of the friendship started to become stronger.
Yeah. And I can't remember what happened, but I just feel like one day you lingered around. I don't know if we were on lunch together or not, but we just got into a more in-depth conversation about like our personal life and, you know, what we were going through at the time. You know, I had just broken up with somebody I thought I was going to be with for a while, and
I was going through a separation with someone that I was in a long relationship with.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I was looking for someone else,
no.
And she expressed the same thing,
Yeah,
that she wasn't. But it was that comfort that we had, that we found with each other, with being able to just sit there and talk.
And I told him,
and not be judged for anything, to have someone else that you knew was going through some of the same things that you were going through.
Yeah, and it just felt good. I mean, to cut you off.
You're fine.
It just felt good to have a friend that I didn't feel like wanted something else from me. You know what I mean? You just genuinely cared about how I felt, and you cared about my healing, and you cared about, you know, my frame of mind. You didn't want, at least it didn't come off like most men did. You know what I mean? It wasn't pushy. It wasn't overly aggressive. It wasn't like lustful. It was just a genuine friendship.
Right. And I felt that same thing in her. So it was, that went on for a couple months.
Yeah.
And something, when I came to work, it was on a Monday, and something just told me, I asked her for a pen for that night because I needed a pen.
And anybody knows me, I be getting uptight about my pens because y'all don't be bringing them back, but in here.
She gave me a pen, and I think a few seconds later I came back with my number I had written down on a piece of paper.
You did.
And she said thank you.
Yeah, I was, and that was so awkward. Should I have said thank you?
I don't know. I mean,
because it was like, here's my number. I'm like, thank you. I don't know. I just felt like that was awkward.
It was awkward for me to do that.
Yeah. No, I feel like I made it awkward when I was like, thank you.
I'm saying it was awkward of me to give her my number because I hadn't planned on doing it, or just, I've got this pen, I've got this piece of paper, and I wanted, I think at that point, for the conversations to be more than just a 20-minute conversation at lunch.
5 days a week, you know.
Right. So I gave her my number, and a few hours later, she had texted me.
Yeah, because I had to.
And said, "Hi, this is Tanetta. I just wanted you to make sure that you had my number, and that this was your number as well."
Yeah, and I had to consult with my coworker, which we were friends, and we still always talk here and there. But she's younger than me, and she's married. And I asked her, I said, "What do you think about like people dating people older than them?" And she was just like, "I don't really see anything wrong with it. And I'm like, I'm talking about older. And she was like, if that person is going to make you happy, or if you feel like that person is going to make you happy, you need to do what's best for you, you know, and not worry about what everybody else has to say. And that meant a lot to me because I had asked some other people. Just because I think the weeks leading up to it, I kind of felt in my gut that he might be interested, but then I knew his situation, so I was like, well, maybe it's just, you know, I'm just that comfort, you know, person for him right now. I'm going through that hard time, so I really didn't know, but I was trying to just kind of like mentally preparing for that moment, so I wouldn't have an awkward moment, which I feel like I had a lot of awkward moments, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, so a lot of people I had asked, they had like mixed emotions about that, and they didn't know it was me. I was just like hypothetically, you know, what if?
And they didn't know it was me either.
Yeah,
So
and
it was just a question.
Mm-hmm. And so when she gave me like, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. That's when I decided to text him that night.
I asked that same question, but I asked that question to me because the only other person that I would have asked that question to was her, and I wasn't prepared to ask that question to her yet. It was just I asked that question to myself. You know, what's going to happen if I ask her out? You know,
like my mom always say, you're gonna always have to ask, and either somebody gonna say yes or they're gonna say no. So I'm glad you asked.
So I did ask, and we went to watch a basketball game.
We did, and we were still like friendly.
It was a friendly. It was
March Madness.
But it was. I think let's go meet and watch a basketball game
and
away from work.
Yeah, away from work.
So that we can sit here and talk without people
staring
looking at
and
us.
whispering. Yeah.
So we sat and watched a basketball game,
did.
and then the next day we went to lunch and watched
another basketball game.
Well, the game was on. We didn't do a whole lot of watching.
Yeah, we talked a lot.
We talked a lot during that. I don't even remember that we finished our meal. It was just the meal came and we just sat there and talked. But that was our first exposure in public.
Yes,
was together.
It was.
And
I was kind of hesitant about that. I'm pretty sure you were too.
I was, because it was not so much that, you know, at that point I already, you know, had known the age difference, and I just was. It wasn't that I was uncomfortable with it. It was that I knew that other people around us were.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of stereotypes and a lot of misconceptions about age gap relationships, and especially interracial relationships. And then we got both of that on top of it. We got a double whammy. And so yeah.
And I saw that first that when we're sitting there eating and in the restaurant watching the basketball game, I could tell that people were looking.
Yeah, they were looking.
And
they still look.
They do still look, but I
don't think we notice it as much
anymore.
No. Because I think in the beginning I paid more attention to outside people looking at us instead of actually enjoying the moment that we were in, you know, getting to know each other. Even though I was talking to you, I still was conscious of, okay, that person's looking, you know? And so I'm glad that got better for me, because that was a real big, I don't even know what word I want to use for that. That was a big, I'm going to say issue.
Concern?
Yeah, concern. It was a big concern.
Was the difference in our age.
Yeah, and not even really the difference in our ages, because I remember growing up, I used to always tell my friends, like, your daddy fine, you know? And I always felt like I was always attracted to somebody older, but I never really had the opportunity to, you know, be with somebody older. And then the people that I ended up dating were either right at my age or a little bit younger than me. And then right before I started talking to you, my boyfriend was like 34, 35 at the time, so he was a little bit older than me, but not much older. Still early 20 mind frame. So, I might as well have been dating a 21-year-old. So, just getting to, be with you and getting to know you and getting to talk to somebody, hold an actual conversation, and have people that have somebody interested in the things that I was interested in was like a big breath of fresh air, And so I enjoyed that a lot. And I think that's what attracted me to Darren a lot in the beginning. Just like that conversation that I was able to have about anything. When I tell you we talked about everything and anything, and we still do.
Yeah. And it's just that seems to be the starting point of a lot of our conversations this is random.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
this is random,
it's just because I think it's the comfort in being able to talk about anything and being open and honest about different things and having someone want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, and I think when I first met you, Darren, you were really quiet.
I was.
And I'm gonna make you talk because I like to talk, and I'm gonna make you talk. So seeing him just open up more and just talk more and laugh more and just be more comfortable, around me, because I think people looking on the outside, looking in at me, they have a lot of they think certain things about me just because of the way I look and maybe the way I carry myself. I think a lot of people think I'm like high maintenance and I'm stuck up and I'm all these other things just because of the way I look. And I heard people say, well, you're a pretty girl. What's a pretty girl supposed to act like? And I honestly didn't consider myself a pretty girl. I was a tomboy all my life. I was pretty much chill. I mean, I had my moments, but I feel like for the most part, in my mid-20s, I was just chill, and I still am just chill. And I think that catches people off guard to know that I'm just so laid back, and I'm goofy, and I like to joke around, I like to talk, and I like to laugh. I'm going to laugh, and I'm going to laugh loud. And I think that catches people off guard in a good way, and It just makes them feel more comfortable with me, and I think that made you feel comfortable.
It did,
because
and the conversations that we had made me feel comfortable too. And it's, the topics were never planned. They were never. It was just we were able to talk about it, whatever we wanted to talk about, and feel that comfort with each other. And the more the conversations that we had, the more conversations I wanted to have.
Yes.
And the more I got to know about Tanetta, the more I wanted to get to know about Tanetta. And those things that initially were questions or concerns became less of a question and less of a concern. Because it got to a point where it didn't matter what other people thought. It mattered what she thinks, and it mattered what I thought. And other people can look and talk all they want, but their opinions don't really mean anything to me. They think what they want to think, and we can live our lives, with the decisions that we make.
So
not
I
the
think
decisions they make.
That initial hump that we conquered as friends really helped elevate us to that next level. Because like I said, never in a million years. I mean, I've had friends that are older than me. Like I said, I always feel like I related to people older than me. I feel like I got an old soul. I really do. And so that was just something easy for me. The friendship was very, very easy for me. So doing that, I'm glad we became friends first, because I think if we were to try to jump head first into a relationship, we wouldn't be here today. We really wouldn't. But that's the first part of our video. I kind of want to break it up a little bit so the videos don't last too long. So thank you for watching the first part of our relationship video. The second video, we're going to talk more about what happened when we first started dating, how our families reacted, just some of the different things we had, challenges we faced when we first started dating. So we hope you guys enjoy this first video.
And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.